Hello, I am Reverend Irene Smith, and I'd like to welcome you to Generationally Speaking. Here at the table, we come and we discuss life issues, no matter what they might be. As we sit at the table with each generation, we all learn, we all grow, we all are inspired.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Generationally Speaking.
It did. It shaped me, and in some ways, it also hurt me because I had never seen my mom cry. I had never seen my mom be vulnerable. She was strong, and that's how she reared me, to be strong. And again, not take no for an answer from anybody. And if you want something, you go get it, and then you have to work hard for it, and you figure out a way. And if someone tells you no, you figure out a way. So as I got older, if someone told me no, oh no, what do you mean no? Whether it was, Tameka, it's okay. No, because in my mind, I'm gonna go for what I want. So not seeing the other side of her, kind of had later on. I had issues with, again, being vulnerable because I didn't see that. And so having my own children, I had to realize, well, wait a minute. No, it's necessary. Yeah. It's necessary. But being young, like you said, that's all I saw. So I emulated what I saw.
I think as people of color, we are always in a struggle. And I think that sometimes we don't associate that constant struggle internally, and then in our external settings, we don't always understand that we're still fighting, which really contributes to a lot of our health problems, even mental health, because we never seem to let our guard down.
Right.
So in letting your guard down, what did you learn about yourself?
When I let my guard down is really when I started learning myself, because all I did was what I knew, was to be strong and be there. But letting my guard down, it allowed me to see a different side of myself. It allowed me to explore who I was, who I wanted to be spiritually, mentally, even physically, because when you do carry a lot of stress and worry, it takes a toll on your health. It really does, and you don't realize it. And you wonder why you're always tired, or why your blood pressure is high, or things like that. It's because you're carrying so much, and sometimes you have to let things go for mentally, physically, just every day, just to be okay. It is a battle, and it's definitely, especially in the African American community, we everything is taboo. We don't speak on certain things. We don't bring certain things up. We do as we're told and don't ask questions. And that can sometimes take a toll on a person. So you have to be very careful in the way that you decide to go, but always take care of yourself mentally first, because that's important.
I just feel right now, I wonder if the angel is ready to come on and join us in the conversation. Come on, angel. To my audience, I'm not sure what Wesley has to do, but we're going to bring this angel on board because I really believe that there's conversation that he actually needs to share, even with our male listening audience, because this constant struggle is real for us, and for African American people of color, it's like we never stop fighting. We're fighting for our family. We're fighting for our marriage. We're fighting for our job. We're fighting for our manhood, our womanhood, our childhood, and so I'm just moved to bring him on, and so he can share with us firsthand himself as what that struggle meant for him when you have a career as a professional, semi-professional football player, and the sky right now is the limit, and suddenly your world changes. What does that do for you?
It's a wake-up call that you gotta take your health seriously. But for me, it was nothing really wrong with me at the time until I guess till I started having issues with headaches and stuff like that. So went to the doctor, and they let me know I had hypertension. So I was like, okay, that can be controlled.
Right.
So but I didn't know I had hypertension for so long.
Right.
So it ended up causing me to have kidney failure. So that situation escalated to being on dialysis, and that point right there, it was kind of like, what is this? Where do we go from here? So, they give you an option, either do dialysis or,
Right.
we can make it comfortable for you to pass away.
Right.
And I was like, that ain't an option. So it was a wake up call. So it was like, okay, now you see where your faith kick in at, and a lot of other stuff that you really just either pushed aside or just not took serious at that time. So that's when you be like, okay, let me, if I'm not humble, let me humble myself more and learn something new about myself, since this journey might be over for now. So let me start a new one.
So as a man, what did that do for your relationship then with your wife, and thinking about that relationship? Did you have to force yourself to be more transparent and push into her? Because that push, you always have that natural push to push people away.
Yeah, for me, it was a new experience for me to go through, I guess, kidney failure. And, you see your parents go through health issues when they older. You like, man, that ain't gonna be me. Things just happen. So for me, it was just naturally to, I guess, push her away, because I didn't know how to deal with this internally. So for me, it was just like, okay, I don't know how to handle this, and I don't really know how to talk to you about it.
Right.
So let me go into a defense mode and just push you away. Not to say I want you to leave, but I don't know how to handle this situation. So let me deal with it in my own way.
Exactly.
And I just pushed everybody away.
Yeah, and that happens a lot, that communication, because no one ever teaches us how. First of all, sometimes we don't have marriages to actually look back on.
Right.
And then secondly, nobody ever teaches us how to really be transparent to somebody, because we've always been in that defensive mode, always with the cape up, right? And showing this source of this strength, and now all of a sudden I'm vulnerable, and I'm vulnerable in a way that I don't want to be.
Right.
And now you got to ask yourself, you're asking yourself a lot of questions, because you've heard the doctor, the diagnosis is this or that.
Right.
And now I got a wife, maybe children, and I'm trying to figure it out. And I don't know what to do, and I don't really know who to go and talk to. So who did God finally send you to sort of confide that deep stuff to?
Honestly, it was probably my coach, and him being a spiritual type of guy. That's probably like the person I was talking to about everything, and he told me it's gonna be okay. And he talked me through it and everything. He was like, you got a family, you can't just be like, okay, I'm just gonna, she got it, she can handle it on her own without me. So it was just more I didn't really have a father figure, so he was more kind of like that. So he just talked to me like a father would talk to a son. And I just took it on and then just listened and be like, okay. And then I had to make a decision on my own as far as how you want to handle it. You could back off, but you'd be selfish.
Okay.
So I just had to think about how I wanted to go about it, and I was like, okay, this can't last forever.
Right.
So I'm going to put my big boy shoes on and figure out how can I push through this.
And so when you had those, and I know you had to watch him, as a wife, there you are sitting on the sidelines, not sure what to say, how to say it, and you had to watch him. And I know you probably experienced these bouts of depression and darkness.
Yeah, that was new for me.
Yeah.
Not knowing what it was. never experienced what depression is like, because you hear people going through depression, but for me it was kind of like, is this what depression feel like? Like you just want to give up and be like, nah. And for me that was kind of like a coward way out, but it was kind of like I didn't know how to go about it, so it was kind of like straddling the fence line. Like you got kids, you got a wife, you got a brother, you got a sister, so it's like you ain't trying to go out this way. So it was like, all right, let me find a way to get through this.
Yeah.
So, but for her, I know it was hard to see me go through everything I went through. So I just didn't know how she was taking it in, because she always would, oh, I'm good, how are you doing? So it was kind of like, man, no, how you doing?
Right.
I know this is something I got to deal with,
Right,
but
right.
how are you doing?
Right.
So it was just kind of like trying to figure her out with me going through what I'm going through.
And I think you all bring up a great point, because a lot of times with couples, you know, that transparency, because you're thinking, I want to protect him and I don't want to tell him how I'm really feeling. And you're thinking, I need you to tell me how you're really feeling so we can talk. So then how did you all get to the place where, okay, the walls are down? I mean, for me, I probably had to break some plates to say, okay, I'm talking now, bam.
Right.
But how did you all get to that place, like the walls are down and we can really, for the first time in a minute, really talk about it?
For me, it was a time where I knew, I'm like, okay, he can't keep shutting down. I had to figure out a way, because I saw him giving up. I saw him spiritually giving up. I saw him giving up just everything about him. And I remember having a conversation with him, and he finally said, like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do dialysis anymore. And for anyone on dialysis, that's what keeps you alive.
Right.
And so he's just like, I don't want to do it. Yeah. And it was at that moment I knew, like, okay, we are fighting something stronger than the both of us right now. And that, again, that strong side kicked in. Because I'm like, if you think you leaving me here with these kids, you got another thing coming. I mean, we're not dying today. So, but that's the way I had to go about it. No.
These kids go with it.
Yes. I'm like, oh no. So I had to kind of kick it into gear. And I mean, and we can laugh about it now, because it was so tough. Yeah. And I meant that, but you know, I had to just convey it in a way where he got it. Like, no, I had to speak life. Like, we need you. Your kids need you here. We need you here. I'm like, you cannot give up. Like he said, like, it would just cross his mind like that's not an option. So at that point, we had to be open. We had to be honest in telling each other how he feels. If you need time, if I'm on your nerves, if you need to get away, if you need something of more of that, let's figure out what it is. So for me, that was the breaking point to when the communication opened and we broke whatever that was trying to infiltrate in him, to bring him down. And so
for the kids, what did you all do for them to help them? Because kids don't really understand all of it.
Right.
You know, they just know what they see, but they don't understand it. So how did you help them along the way?
Well, my oldest son, he was like super concerned about me and my health, and you know, situations would occur where I'll pass out and he had to call her, he freaking out and not knowing what to do. So I just let him know, like, I'm gonna be okay. Like, it's okay, don't cry, don't have a nervous breakdown. But he would confide in her, like, well, Daddy, be okay, and this and that. And so for me, that was kind of hard to see that. And then it was just a lot running through my mind, just laying in, I did dialysis at home.
Okay.
So just sitting in the room with myself and having nothing but 3 hours and some change to think about it. You can't do nothing, you can't go nowhere, so you must as well just sit there thinking about how you want to go about it. So for me, I just wanted to make sure, okay, I see how my son is reacting to all of this. My youngest son, I don't think he really
Right,
understood,
right.
but he kind of knew like
Something.
like what's that in your arm, this and that. So I was like, I had to just make sure, like, okay, you can't go out like this. So I had to make sure my kids was comfortable enough with knowing Daddy is going to be okay. Nothing's going to happen, and he'll be fine, and your mom is going to be fine. So
The constant reassurance with them, because they're gonna worry. And he developed anxiety. Like the kids go through a lot. We don't think that they know or they see, and they do, and they can feel,
I'm like,
and they
you
can
too good for
feel.
11. How you here got anxiety?
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
kind of new for me. I'm like, you 11 years old.
Yeah.
Most people get anxiety when they get older, but but I guess him seeing me going through so much in and out of the hospital, I think that could be a lot for anybody.
Yeah.
So I think him seeing all of that was just like overwhelming.
And I thank you all for sharing that, because a lot of times we don't think about the children and what they are really internally experiencing, and for you all to share, like, okay. And so the day came that you decided, I'm going to live.
When I had to do dialysis in center before I decided, let me do it at home, I had a friend, he was doing dialysis, and I guess he had went through 3 kidneys, and he would always talk to me about Christ and all and stuff like that. So I would sit back and listen to him, but it was just one day, like, he had to have surgery, open heart surgery or something, and once they opened him up, it was over after that. He didn't come back in the next day. They was like, he passed away. I was like, what? I was just talking to him like the day before, where you be? So that was kind of like a wake up call, knowing that you're this sick, and if you did have to go under the knife, anything could possibly happen to you. So what was the last thing you said to your kids?
Right.
Your wife, and so it was kind of like, okay. And then I seen other people in there for just almost everything else, like diabetes or stuff like that. And I'm young, and I'm in there with a lot of older people, so I'm like, just looking around the room, like, nah, this ain't what I signed up for. This ain't what I want. So it kind of opened my eyes up to be like, let me get it together. If this is the only thing I have to deal with was hypertension that caused this situation, and everybody else got A, B, and C, yeah, let me go ahead and straighten up. Because I guess when you older, you stuck in your ways. Well, some people was, and they didn't want to follow the regimen. It's like, man, I can't. I got a brother, sister, like I said. I got 2 boys. I got a daughter, wife. Now I can't go out like that. So it just made me opened my eyes to see, like, okay, we gotta do something with the situation.
So all of these experiences, and then you decide, I'm going to write a book. What, with all of these experiences and everything that's going on, what was it that said to you, write the book?
Yeah,
God. I was not thinking about writing a book. I'm just living. I'm balancing appointments. I'm balancing school, worrying about my husband, worrying about the children, and I'm in line picking up my son from school, and I heard God clear as day say, write the book. Write this book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, what do you mean, write the book? So I didn't understand it, so I kind of brushed it off. Then,
but you was kind of like, what it is that I'm supposed to do, and I think at that point, he kind of hit you what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Well, right, and that's what led to this point. After I heard him say that, 2 seconds later, an ad came on the radio, and it was an author speaking with someone about how to go about writing a book, and let me give you these free sites and giving the steps. And I'm just like, okay, God. I said, if I hear one, I said, God, are you okay? And I had to learn if I had to learn one thing is, don't make God keep repeating himself. So I'm like, I get it. I'm not going to learn the hard way. I have enough to deal with. I hear it. And then it just started flowing. Here I am, like, who wants to hear? I'm like, about my life. To me, this is just every day. So it was it was like, okay, write the book. I had no expectations other than I wanted to be impactful. And that was the third thing that I heard after the radio ad was, it's going to be impactful. So I just kept saying that word for a few days, impactful. Like, okay. So I'm writing this book, and the whole time in mind, I'm like, this book, I want to help people. To his point, I had been struggling for years because I was helping everyone else. And I'm like, God, what do you want me to do? What do I want to do? I want to do something. I love helping people, but what about myself? And so then finally, when he told me to write the book, I wrote the book.
So you wrote the book When the Cape Comes Off. And as you're writing the book, what was the range of emotions that you went through in just putting pen to paper, thought, an idea, capturing them down on the paper? What were the range of emotions that you experienced, and did you allow him to read any of it?
So actually, on my bookmarks, all the affirmations are all things that I was feeling writing the book.
Can you share those with us?
Sure. I am strong, resilient, intelligent, beautiful, grateful, loved, worthy, deserving, brave, enough, blessed, and purposeful.
Wow.
Purposeful. When you're writing, it brings up a lot, especially when you're writing a memoir about yourself or an experience. It brings up lots of feelings, things that I didn't remember, things I didn't want to remember, things that I tried to bury. And as I'm writing the book, it almost became like therapeutic. It was like healing. It was healing. I didn't regret anything I wrote. I'm very transparent in my book. And even writing and editing the book with my editor, my husband would sit in on some of our sessions. So
she might get mad.
Right. So yeah, there were times where
She mad about I was just writing this book and it just flashbacks came back.
it happened, and he's telling the truth. But then I had to remember it then. I think our truth, and that's what kept me transparent. Our truth is going to help other people, because you hear things all the time, but you just see the surface. People really aren't in a rush to tell you their true feelings and things that they've experienced and went through. And I knew that when writing this, that I was going to be honest, because I want to help people. You have to be honest with yourself starting, but honest just in general if you want to help and be impactful and really motivate people. So all that came out when I was writing.
Okay. And so you started writing this When the Cape Comes Off. Where did the title come from?
Now that's a good question. I actually had several titles for this book. I could not settle on anything. And when I was working with my first editor, Angel, and she read the manuscript, and we kept working on it. And I said, well, what do you think about these titles? And she would never give me an answer. And one day I woke up, it had to be 5 o'clock in the morning, and I went straight to my email. Don't know why. She emailed me, and she said, When the Cape Comes Off. I said, that's it. She said, When the Cape Comes Off. What do you think about this title? I said, that's it. And then on speaking with her about it, she said, after hearing and reading and praying about the book to me, because When the Cape Comes Off, this is your story. When the cape comes off, and you have to take the cape off, and you do it so well. I don't even know, just from me reading how impactful it was, which that's a trigger word for me. So I knew then, that's it.
So did you, after she finished, did you have the opportunity to read it then?
No. Because, everything happened so fast.
It did.
She sent it to her editor and this and that. And then at the same time, I was kind of like, I know all the stuff I put in. I want to read this book. I'm like, I'll wait to see how the reviews is. And then we'll go from there. See if anybody's like, man, I don't like you, man. Okay, that's why I want to read the book. but it seemed like it got a lot of good reviews, so I'm like, I might have to check the book out.
All right. So tell us where the book can be purchased.
So you can find my book, When the Cape Comes Off, on my website by going to www.tamekafarrier.com. The book is also in bookstores all across the world. You can go to Amazon.com, find the book, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble. We are finishing up even the Audible. So that will be out shortly. So yes, it's there, but TamekaFarrier.com.
Okay. And I understand you're going to have a book signing.
Yes, so my little mini book tour, God willing. First stop, the book signing is going to be in Danville, California on January 30th.
Okay.
January 30th, we will be in Danville. So come on out. If you haven't ordered your book, order your book.
Yeah. And let me just say, if you want an autographed copy of the book, then make sure you go to TamekaFarrier.com and not Amazon, y'all. Y'all go there first, purchase the book, and then she'll autograph it. She may even have the angel to autograph it.
Maybe. TamekaFarrier.com.
Well, I want to thank you all for allowing us to come into your home and share your journey with our audience. We are excited about what God has done thus far and where He's going to take you all, and that truly you all are a blessing to everyone that will hear and everyone that will read, because we all experience life on different levels.
Yes.
And we need the voices of all the generations at the table to speak the truth, so that you can be inspired, you can be informed, and once you're inspired and informed, you can be transformed. Hey, see you next week. God bless.